Has anyone ever heard of Sandy Hook? Sandy Hook Elementary. What happened at Sandy Hook Elementary? Go ahead. There was a shooting there. 26 people died at Newton Elementary. We're going to talk about a couple of the kids. This is, I forgot to sing. This is Jesse Lewis. This is Jesse Lewis. He was 6 years old. So the day was December 14th of 2012, so about 5 years ago. He was 6 years old. Jesse Lewis lived on a farm. He had tons of animals. His parents said he loved animals, but his favorite were his horses. He loved to ride horses. Can you does that sound like a lot of you guys, right? This one, her name's Emily Parker. She was also 6 years old. Her family said she loved to color. She loved to draw. She loved to try new things, all except for food. She hated to try new food. They said she hated it. And this is Noah Ponzer. He was 6 years old too. He has a twin sister that was also 6 at the time, and he has an older sister that was 8. And his family had recently moved from New York because his parents had visited Newton, Connecticut, and they said they wanted their kids to grow up in a small community. They felt like it was a safe place to be. Well, so on December 14th of 2012, 26 people died at Sandy Hook Elementary. Of those 26 people that died, a quarter of them died because they bled to death. The kids had to wait in the school while help came. And a quarter of the kids, so how many is that out of 26? What would a quarter of the kids be? Let me figure that quickly out. Yes. 6 or 7 of the kids died that should have lived, but no one could help them stop. No one could get the bleeding stopped. How sad, right? So because of this, because of Sandy Hook Elementary, the National Safety Commission has come up with this program called Stop the Bleed. And this is all because of what happened at Sandy Hook. Just a minute, bud, just a minute. This is all because of what happened at Sandy Hook. They said there's no reason that anyone should die from bleeding to death. That just doesn't make sense. There were tons of other people in the school that could have helped if they knew how. So that's what we're going to learn today. Here's some of the things, it seems kind of impossible that something like Sandy Hook could happen here, right? But there's lots of reasons that someone could bleed. What do you think caused this? An earthquake. Could we have an earthquake here? Is there a possibility of having an earthquake right here? Is there a possibility of having an earthquake right here while you're at school? Do you think someone might get hurt? What do you do? What do you do if someone gets hurt and they're bleeding? How do you stop it? What are the important things? Yes, Jacob.
You can take a big Band-Aid and wrap it around.
You can. Yep, you can take a big Band-Aid.
One thing really quick.
No, you're fine. You can take a big Band-Aid and wrap it around. We're gonna practice some of the things. It's being difficult. That's okay.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. We are gonna, can you guys team up in teams of 2, however you want, and each set of 2 people grab one of these. So grab a partner and grab one of these. So we're gonna talk about, or we're gonna demonstrate some of the things that you can do. And we'll show some really cool pictures in a little bit, but let's talk about just basically. Let's pretend your partner, we need someone to be the patient and someone to be the person helping. Let's pretend your partner has a gash across their arm. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do to get the bleeding stopped? What? Well, the first thing you always do, and that's important, we'll talk about that in a minute. The first thing you always do with bleeding is you want to put direct pressure. Direct pressure, they say that all the time, direct pressure. So how would you put direct pressure with a cut on the arm? Yeah, use your gauze to put pressure. You wanna stop the bleed. You guys know how to do this. This is nothing new, right? They're bleeding on their arm, what are you gonna do? Direct pressure means pressure right on the wound. So use your gauze. If you wrap up your gauze, that's putting pressure right on the wound, right? You have to just wrap it up. I wanna talk about this for a minute. Does anyone know where this is? Where is this?
That was the Las Vegas shooting.
Oh, this one's actually Boston. They actually had a really similar picture. Yeah, no, they had a really similar picture.
Don't wrap my.
But this one's actually the Boston Marathon. This guy right here, his son was killed in Iraq. This guy right here was his son's friend, and he was with him when he died. As a tribute to the son, this guy decided to run in the Boston Marathon for the boy that died. So this guy, it's kind of hard to see, but the dad has a picture of his son and a picture of him on buttons right there, right? As he was running, he got caught up he got impacted by the bomb. You can't see it because I cut it off. But I didn't know how Swedish we were gonna be. But he lost his leg. He lost his leg in the bombing, and you can see it. Right here, you see he's kind of holding something? That is this guy's artery. Whoops. Back up one. He lost his leg and he was bleeding to death. The dad of the boy that died ran up, found him. He tried to get the bleeding to stop where his leg was gone and he couldn't get it to stop. So he literally grabbed a hold of his artery and held his artery shut and saved his life. How long do you think it would take for him to bleed to death out of it? That's called a femoral artery. How long did it take to bleed to death out of that?
10 minutes.
Less than that, huh? A little bit more than that. 3 minutes. In 3 minutes, he would have been dead. But he saved his life because what? He was, huh? He was quick. He knew what to do. Every single year, 800,000 people die because they bled to death. 800,000. That's a lot of people. These are all preventable deaths. They die because they bled to death. It's about 16% of the deaths. So how many people are here? 16? 16 students here. So, I gotta think about that for a minute. Let's see. 16% would be about 16%. I gotta think about that. Right. 2 of them. So this year, in those statistics, this year, 2 of you would die. 2.5 of you. Sorry, the other half, I don't know. Yeah. Two people out of this classroom would die each year for no other reason than someone didn't know how to stop the bleeding. That's crazy when you think of those numbers, right? Something as easy as wrapping it up and stopping the bleeding, they died. He was a pilot. He was taking off in New York, and his plane ran into a big flock of geese ran into the engines of his plane, and the plane engines quit completely. He could not make it back to the airport, and he landed the plane in the Hudson River. There were 155 people on board that day. How many do you think survived?
All of them.
All of them. Every single one of them. But everyone in this plane survived because he knew what to do. How did he know what to do? Why? Huh? He'd been trained. How many times do you think he practiced? Do you think he practiced landing his plane once or twice or 4 times? What do you think? Lots. He actually was in the military, and he actually had to crash land one of his planes on the water. So he had practiced a lot. He had done the work, and he had done simulations over and over and over again to practice this. And he is now the only one ever in history that has crash landed a passenger plane and had everyone survive. And that's what I want you guys to remember this image. When you think about things that could go wrong, when you think about trying to help, the way that you are gonna know what to do is to think it through ahead of time, to practice, and to do these kinds of things, you know. When you see a little brother or sister get a cut, think about what you would do and practice, and you will know what to do when the time comes that you need, that something more dangerous happens.